I don't have a list. Oh, hey.
New record high in America and expected to keep rising.
We need to make sure that it becomes relatively more attractive to have an electric vehicle instead of a gas
You
vehicle.
want gas prices to go up and oil prices to go up.
You need it
and
to
gold prices
reflect
go
the
up.
true cost of carbon.
Number one, no more subsidies for fossil fuel industry. No more drilling on federal lands. No more drilling, including offshore. No ability for the oil industry to continue to drill, period. Ends.
Record high gas prices, the national average now at $4.29 a gallon, a 60-cent hike in just 1 week.
The president is really focused on making sure that people are not hurt at the pump.
Several around LA that are more than $6 a gallon.
If you drive an electric car, this would not be affecting you, clearly.
There's no sound or fume.
How many barrels of oil does the U.S. consume per day?
I don't have that number in front of me.
So how do I know it's actually working?
What is the Granholm plan to increase oil production in America?
Oh my God, that is hilarious.
Perhaps if you let the market work in this respect, people will feel pain. They'll take a second look at that Ford F-450 gigantoid truck. They'll reconsider a Tesla.
I'm willing to pay $4 a gallon. Hell, I'll pay $15 a gallon because I drive a Tesla.
I have a Chevy Bolt. That is my car. I lease a Bolt and I lease solar panels. So I drive on sunshine, girl.
Record-breaking prices at the pump nationwide.
One of my favorite topics, electric school buses.
Electric school buses that have big batteries underneath it.
Yes, we are very excited about electric school buses.
Yeah, some prices are as high as $7 a gallon.
You usually can smell it and you can hear it. You can hear the guzzling sound.
People from rural to suburban to urban communities can all benefit from the gas savings of driving an EV.
What is going on, everyone?
I see people enjoyed that clip as much as we did.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So-
I was mesmerized by it. As I was doing it, I was like, oh, I should be probably sharing this episode out there. And instead, I was just mesmerized by the stupidity. So I'm going to share it out right now.
Yeah, and you and I were talking, or we were talking right before we did go live here about you just got a Tesla, and I said, well, we're going to get into a little bit of electric cars and the environmental impact and all that jazz, because I've been just doing a little bit of reading up on the environmental impact of lithium mining. All these people like that, people were saying, like she was in the video, I drive on sunshine, girl. You're not actually driving on sunshine, you're driving on lithium. And the carbon dioxide that is produced through the lithium mining and the sulfur, all the stuff that's left in the environment. So that's what they're really driving on. So it just kills me to see all the people just using all these little headlines and sound bites, but not really understanding what is layered underneath them.
Yeah, so if you're just catching this, make sure you go back to the beginning and watch the intro of this video here, our live, so you can get a little context of what we're talking about here in terms of how the progressives over the last couple of years, even Joe Biden when he was campaigning, talking about how their main goal is really just to end fossil fuel.
Joe, do you own an electric car? I don't drive. Do you own a car? Well, yes. Is it an electric car? No. Okay, good talk. All right.
Right. And did they, was it Tucker Carlson reached out to the White House staff to see how many White House staffers have electric cars?
I think it was Jesse Waters.
Jesse Waters, and didn't get any response. So not that there's not benefits of using less gasoline fueled cars and go, like, I'm sure it does sort of take some sort of the weight off of one set of environmental issues, but to act like it's the end all solution to environmental issues when it just picks up the weight from here, some of the weight from here, and dumps it right over here. You're not doing, I got a giant pile of horse shit in the yard. I could scoop it up from one place in the yard and plant flowers there. It'd be amazing. But if I just go dump all that shit in another place in the yard, all it's done is like shifted it from one place to the other. You can't just say you cleaned everything out. It just makes me a little bit insane.
Look, no question, America should be leading by example, like it always does. And green energy and electric and all that stuff, it's no different. But like, you can't just like cut off the spigot and like turn on something new. Like, that's not how this works. And we are probably at least 5 or 10 years out before even getting to a place where it's readily available for people like the average person. Right now, only 1% of people in America have electric cars. So 99% of everyone else is affected by high gas prices. Not only high gas prices, like, thank God most of the country is coming out of winter right now. Can you imagine?
Yeah, there was such stupidity in that video that we played in the beginning. You've got the rich talk show host going, I don't care if gas gets up to 15, I drive a Tesla. Okay, so what you don't understand with this gas price is going so high is it doesn't just affect somebody at the pump. It affects the trucking industry. It affects the supply chain. It affects the price of toilet paper for those people that watch your show that have to decide between getting a full meal for their family or having toilet paper to wipe their booty. Problem number 2, you've got the one of the other clips talking about, well, maybe this will get them to rethink a Ford F-150. There was a lot of people
F-450. I think he said F-450, didn't he? Which was just hilarious.
Yeah, F-450. Yeah, exactly. Talking about obviously the full ton trucks, whatever, not realizing how much of America relies on trucks, not just to talk about their size of below their pants, but they actually use them for work. It's not just the lifted truck owners up there burning diesel, burning whatever. These are people that rely on them to transport things, transport animals. These are some of the most hardest working people in the country, and you're just shishing on them. I don't know.
This sums it all up, though, Anthony, right?
Yeah.
In terms of how the administration thinks and how they're so detached from reality, and they literally have no idea what's going on. You have the energy secretary of our country, of the Joe Biden administration, at a press conference, and she was asked how many barrels of oil a day does America?
I don't know.
She did not know.
Yeah,
like, that is inexcusable. This is this is our leadership, folks. This is horrible.
And I'm going to talk. So I'll talk about the non-feasibility of electric cars, and I am going to go back on some of the things I've been saying for a decade, because I worked as a product specialist and auto show for Nissan for years. And we had the Nissan Leaf. We were one of the first electric vehicles. And now that I'm driving this very used Tesla, it's a 2014. So it's not like I got this brand spanking new, but it's fun and it's cool. And there's some things about it. I didn't get it for the environment. I got it for the fact that I'm looking outside right now going, how do I save a little bit of money and still drive a decent vehicle? But let me tell you, it's got 240 miles or 250 miles of range on it. I used to tell people at auto shows, we were at the time, Nissan Leaf was as low as 100 miles a day. And I was like, trust me, for the average driver, this is the research that's been done. You don't need more than that. I'm going to tell you, when I see 60 miles left, I panic. I cannot believe I was lying to these poor people for so long, saying range anxiety is just in your head. It's no big deal. I'm like, no, what if something happens and I got to go? And then highway speeds drop the percentage and all this stuff. And I now at 240, 50 miles, that would be the logical minimum that I think people can deal with. And I apologize. I've been lying for like a decade to human beings. Like, you're fine with 60 miles. Fine. It's a lie. Total lie.
The thing is, there's pros and cons to everything. And there's just, again, as I feel like I just keep harping on every week, seems to be my theme, is that you need to look underneath the layers of something and stop just accepting crap as absolute because somebody says it is or puts it in a snappy soundbite or something. So, electric car thing and Biden up there. I think we're going to play him next year in a minute. So we'll leave that.
Yeah. So right now, everything is Putin's fault.
Everything.
Make no mistake, the current spike in gas prices is largely the fault of Vladimir Putin. It has nothing to do with the American Rescue Plan.
What did just happen?
Hi, Garrett. What's the matter?
Facebook shut us
Hey,
down.
someone comment if you can still hear us. Uh-oh.
Yeah, we can. You can hear it. You're good.
Turn your Wi-Fi off.
That's not the problem. Amazing.
Check one if you hear me. Check two. Check. Hey. So I think we're playing Biden. I can hear them, so I don't know what happened. I feel like they locked up on their side. So we're gonna be playing a clip of Joe Basement talking about how everything is his fault. It's just a crap that just came out shocking. That said, what did it say? Just like this article come through Fox News. So another Democrat just said this is the most un-American thing on the planet to blame raising gas prices on Joe, which is shocking. Are you guys there?
Yeah, you're breaking up really bad.
I don't know. How are we coming through on your end?
You guys are clean on mine, so it's weird.
Okay, so if we're fine, we'll just roll with it.
Yeah, but your audio is all choppy.
I love it. I love going live. It's always exciting to go live and do things.
So anyway, we'll replay this.
Make no mistake, the current spike in gas prices is largely the fault of Vladimir Putin. It has nothing to do with the American Rescue Plan.
So there you go. He's blaming everything on Putin when we know that gas prices, food prices, inflation, and everything else was on the rise at a significant and historic level before Putin ever touched foot in Ukraine.
I remember seeing Schumer, good old Chucky here in New York, standing at a gas station during Trump's presidency, pointing out some higher gas prices than he would have liked to see and saying, why doesn't President Trump do anything about this, right? So now the same gas station in the same district has prices that are well above the gas prices that were there when Schumer pointed them out. And yet I don't hear Schumer putting anything on this president or foisting any kind of responsibility for it on him. So again, it's just another example of the double talk.
And this is what Barb was talking about before, about a deeper level. Like, you know, they're trying to paint with a broad brush now that everything is Putin's fault, gas prices, inflation, food prices, all of that, and make you forget the fact that all this happened under his watch, right? It's an easy way to pivot and blame someone instead of taking any kind of personal responsibility for their policies.
Yeah, there's no way to look at it. Like you said earlier, Dave, like there's the concept that we can switch to electric vehicles and all these different things and solar panels and find a way to get away from fossil fuels. And it's all well and good. I see the purpose of that in the very, very long term. But we're seeing what happens when you don't slowly make a progress. Instead, you try to pull the plug. And that's what's happened to our current status from a domestic producer and an exporter to an importer to not being able to have the infrastructure in place and to try to turn it on all at once. That's why all of a sudden they're like, if you had an electric car, this wouldn't be a problem. But yeah, it still would be because we'd be paying for electricity at our house. So all these things that they're saying, all well and good, it's just, it's short-sighted and it doesn't make any sense. Did you guys see the clip? And I don't have it, but the clip of Kamala talking to the press with the Romanian president, where they asked her about gas prices in the United States of America, and she answered a completely different question about the borders of the eastern flank.
Yeah.
Oh, is that where she...
Oh, you mean the northern flank?
Well, she said eastern flank, but yes.
The northern flank first.
Yeah. But they asked her the question, what are you guys going to do about the the gas prices in the United States of America? The American people are a little worried about this. And this was while she was in somewhere over there because she was with the president of Romania at the time, and totally didn't even like say, I'll come back to that question, just strictly answered a question about how important it is to protect borders of these countries that are close to Russia. And it's like, that the question was about fuel, woman. Like,
yeah. At this point, the more I see these interviews with her in particular, I mean, we already know the Biden issues, right? But the more I see the interviews with Kamala, it's like these people, they're, I mean, they're out there representing us. And as you say, people used to say, I remember people saying when Trump was president that, oh, no country, we've lost all the respect of the rest of the world. I think the opposite was true. And I think that's playing out now with Saudi Arabia not even answering the phone for Biden, right?
Yeah.
Is that going to be a clip?
The one with Trevor Noah. Yeah.
Okay, yeah.
No,
So I think we go into that, but I think we've just lost our respect now. I think, and to Dave's point, when Dave, in the earlier of the show, you were saying like Americans should lead as we always do. I don't think we are leading now. I don't think we're leading, and I think
Oh, no, we're not.
I think the American people are stepping up and showing a tremendous leadership. A lot of American people are stepping up and showing tremendous leadership. I think the movement is a little behind the momentum here, so we need to kind of pick up speed and catch up to the counter movement here. But I think finally the American people as a whole are starting to step forward and into leadership roles because we don't have leaders that are doing the proper thing for us.
Yeah, I think our president is so overly concerned with Putin and the possibility of going into war with him and more Russian aggression that it's literally like handicapped him. Like it's paralyzed him. I mean, he's doing some things to help Ukraine, but there's so much more he could be doing. I think he's just so fearful of that he's become, well, he was already inept, but he's not doing what he can do. Like the whole MiG thing with Poland and those fighter jets. Like they said our military, the Air Force, did an assessment that, oh, well, Ukraine doesn't really need them. But it doesn't matter. Ukraine is asking for them. So obviously they see something on the ground that matters. So why not give it to them? And why can't Poland just give it to them? Why do we have to be the ones who approve it or not?
So what's your opinion on that? Because I've been talking about that a lot, and I mean I've got mixed. I don't think there's a right and a wrong per se. I do have an opinion that we should completely stay out of that, and that's just based on where we are.
I saw a report earlier where there was basically if Poland gives the MiGs and sends them to a U.S. naval base, and then from the new U.S. naval base they go into Ukraine, the administration has a real problem with that. But they're okay with the MiGs going from Poland directly to Ukraine. And that's kind of my position too, because I mean, if you look at it on paper, why are we moving MiGs from Poland to U.S. naval base in Germany, and then we're going to have Ukrainian pilots fly those jets out of a U.S. naval base to attack and bomb Russians? Like that looks terrible. Right?
No, I see, and I agree with you to that. I don't like being in the middle. I don't like playing the middle ground. We have to do one or the other. I don't agree with us sending any planes over there at all. If we're going to send planes, let's just clean it up. Let's do it all ourselves. Like to me, we have to go all in or we don't go on at all, because technically based on what Russia has said, and now Russia and China, we don't know how close they've become in terms of this conflict. So if we're breaking Putin's rules, then we are entering the conflict that he has said, if you send aircraft or fly into our airspace or create a no-fly zone, you are now entering war. So,
right, but we've already broken his guidelines. Like he already said that if we supply them with weapons and get involved in any way, that he's going to look at it as right. We've already done that. So if Poland wants to say, why can't pilots from Ukraine go to Poland, jump in the airplanes, and fly them back to Ukraine?
So this is the part of that. So Polish media and the people that I've spoken with that have family in Poland says that according to them, this is the United States idea. Poland doesn't want to do it alone because they fear, first off, they've taken in 1.6 million refugees, and now they've got a bunch of new people in their country, and they can't withstand any other pressure on them. So now if Poland is by themselves, so essentially on an island against Russia, until all of a sudden they're struck on, and then NATO has to get involved because they're a NATO country, all these different things have to happen. Poland does not want to do it alone. And according to Polish people and Polish media, this is the United States thing, not the Polish thing. According to our media, it's the Polish-Ukrainian thing. So we're not getting really a straight answer in terms of how it's working out. But I think once we enter that kind of conflict, why don't we go over there and take care of it in 5 days and do it, or we stay out? That's my personal opinion on it.
I mean, I agree with that too. I don't think we should be involved in any of this stuff. But when it's hard when we sit back and we just hear that 97 children have been killed, from Russian bombs since the start of this, and you see the woman who was pregnant the other day who just who died, and we're seeing the devastation. Like when is Like, when is enough enough? Like,
There's
when,
people,
you know,
and not
and
that
Putin
that's
Putin has
okay.
this over the barrel because he is threatening the World War III. He is threatening, you know, the nuclear bombs. But does he really want that? That was the great thing about Trump, and that what we're going to show in this next clip. Like, he came from a position of strength. He was like, all right, I got your bluff, right? Like, you don't want this World War II, you know, World War III either. You don't want nuclear bombs going off either. But, you know, our president is just, he just exudes weakness. And that's how this whole thing, in my opinion, started from the get-go.
Yeah.
So the next clip. Trevor Noah.
No denying that Saudi Arabia isn't playing ball with Joe Biden. And you know what? You can say what you want, but this would have never happened to Donald Trump. Never. No one was ever ignoring Donald Trump's calls. Yeah, because if you ignored Donald Trump's calls, you didn't know how he would respond. Maybe he'd send an angry tweet, or maybe he'd just like ban your country from everything. You don't know. That's why I bet in these situations, Biden actually wishes that he could hire Trump to step in as president wildcard. You know, just keep everyone on their toes. Because if Trump was calling, you best believe the UAE, they'll be racing to pick up the phone. Oh, Mr. Trump, we're here, hello? Too late, Ahmed. You made me wait 2 rings. We're bombing the UAE and the UFC, just in case.
So kudos. That was a pretty good impersonation, by the way.
I thought so. I thought it was pretty good. First time I've ever had a compliment for him. But yeah, I mean, he brings up a completely valid point. And right now, as you said, we have a leadership of weakness. It's blatant that they know exactly what's going to happen. And then we've talked about the 25th Amendment for a year. Like, when are they going to get rid of Biden? And then we talked about Kamala 10 minutes ago. We know why. Like, we don't have an ability in our current government and the tiers of government that can actually handle the world, let alone our own country. You've got Biden, Kamala, and Pelosi. Like, there is no strength on that chain whatsoever right now, and it's terrifying. And I'm sure it's terrifying for you. The people that we just said, the women and children dying in Ukraine. This is all a fault if you trace it back of our vote of the vote of us having such a weak president is the reason we are in this situation right now, and why they are in this situation. It's bad, super bad stuff.
Yeah, and I hear both sides or I hear some arguments, some people on one side of the argument saying that, we're all being manipulated and this is just some sort of grand scheme for some sort of higher plan. And you get people going down these crazy roads with all these other conspiracy theories. And then what's really upsetting to me, or not upsetting maybe, but just irritating, is when people are getting called out for expressing concern for the people in the middle of this, right? So I think we need to kind of break check ourselves here and understand that it's okay. It's normal to be concerned for other human beings facing these terrible plights that these people in Ukraine are facing now. But then again, like, I wonder where is this outrage for the Uyghurs and for people in Nigeria and all these other horrific crimes that have been going on against humanity in other parts of the world forever, really, and continue to happen every day? And why are we so invested in that? Why? For humanity's sake. So I think it's really also further evidence of how easily we are controlled, like how easily the flow of the media and what we are fed directs national outrage and national emotion. Like our national emotions are tied to whatever we are being fed, because if we are seeing straight up videos from China of the Uyghurs being persecuted, or from Nigeria, those people being persecuted, if we were seeing that same coverage, then we'd all be upset and worried about that. But instead, it's like out of sight, out of mind. Why do we only care about things that are right in front of us? And why do people care so heavily where they're going to start screaming at one another about it? It is something to kind of bear in mind, to make sure that we separate our concern for humanity versus, and while not losing our awareness of how we are in fact being manipulated by the media to be told what to care about next.
No, I agree. But I mean, there is some positive. I still have weird stuff on the internet.
Stuck, Anthony.
Break it up again, brother.
Right now.
I'm watching the same.
Yep.
Change this.
It's always a good time again going live, but no guts, no glory, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you got to be ready to go sideways. Yeah. So what do you think on all that, Dave?
I don't know. So, I mean, the reason why we keep doing these videos every Tuesday at 5 o'clock is, these are things that we're passionate about and that we want to talk about, but just to remind you all, to be aware, to pay attention, to, dig a little bit deeper each and every week into the stories, what you're being fed and told, get both sides of the story. And most importantly, like, there's never been a bigger time or a better time than now to have tools to be able to speak out and voice, what you believe in, what you stand for, what you stand against. So I encourage more people to get out there and be vocal about these things that affect you, that affect your family, that affect your pocketbook. Like the gas prices. Reach out to your local congressman, let them know how you feel, let them know that you want to see, American energy policy on full blast, both green, fossil fuel, all of the above. I think most of Americans believe that. I mean, 70% of Americans, blame President Biden for inflation. 70% of Americans blame President Biden for, the gas prices right now. That's from a poll that just came out. So, we're not just shooting, darts at a board here. Like, this is what the majority of the American people feel. And the more people that speak up, I think the more things, can change, and it forces those decision makers in the DC swamp to maybe actually take some actions in benefit of, we the people.
Yeah. Let's move on to the good clip. We always like to wrap things up on a
clip. I
positive
didn't get it downloaded.
Oh, you didn't get it downloaded.
No,
Okay.
but I have a fun clip. So I don't know if you heard this story. Anthony, you probably saw this story. Elon Musk tweeted that he wanted to take on Vladimir Putin in hand-on-hand combat for so whoever wins basically gets to control Ukraine. Not that Elon Musk wants to control Ukraine, but meaning if Elon Musk won, Putin has to tuck his tail between his legs and go back to Russia riding his bear, so on and so forth. And he was trying to goad, I think, President Putin into responding, and he didn't. But this general up here at Rogozin, I guess he's a general for Russia, he did respond. And then this is pretty funny with Elon Musk's meme and picture. I just thought that was fun. Elon Musk is always in the middle of the fight, always pushing the envelope. I love that about him.
It's fun to be a carefree multi-billionaire.
Yeah.
Just do what you want. Can't cancel Elon Musk. All right.
Yeah, but that's the attitude everyone should have.
Right.
Like, that's a perfect example right there, what I was just talking about. Here's a guy who, he has one of the number one selling electric vehicle in the country. Last week, he was telling everyone how we should, because it's an emergency, how we should be drilling for oil. Like the electric car company owner telling people how we should be drilling for oil. This is the leadership that we need in this country. People who are going to push him. Like, you think Biden would have sent out a tweet like this to Putin? Of course not, because he's a weak, feckless leader.
He never called Putin Rocket Man.
Exactly. Case in point.
That was the best. I'm standing here next to Rocket Man.
Anthony, you got to agree, right?
No, 100%. And this is hilarious. And I apologize for my audio. I don't know what's going on. I think maybe my cat's full because I'm my home internet. So it shouldn't be a problem.
All right. That's all right. We'll wrap it up here anyway because the clock.
So the last thing, if you haven't heard, the Senate just passed, right? Go ahead, Barb.
I just saw an announcement that made me pretty happy that the Senate just passed a bill that would end daylight savings time forever. I think it's called the Sunshine Act. So, now it's got to go through the other steps before it becomes law and all that. But how awesome would that be for all of us states, especially those of us who go through cold, dreary winters? How awesome would that be to finally have that extra hour of daylight so it's not pitch black at 4:00 in the afternoon?
It would stay the way it is right now.
Anthony, we can't hear you.
Look, it's just about making common sense great again, right? Why are we changing our clocks twice a year? Like, it's the stupidest thing that we could possibly be doing in this country.
Yeah.
Things that don't matter.
Oh, I almost got a picture of that. All right, so that's it. That's what we got this week.
Sorry for all the hiccups and interruptions with going live, but
whatever. If that's the worst part of your day, you're pretty well off.
Yeah.
So we'll catch you next week. If you have different topics that you'd like to walk through, if you want to suggest someone to be a part of this, or you want to put yourself forward to come comment on for a few minutes, let us know in the comments, and we'll work it all out.
Yeah. If you want to join us on the show live too, we'd be open to that as well. Let us know.
All right.
Peace.